What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy the Middle-Aged Gamer and this is the Umarex G36c V2 GBBR review. Now, as always, let's start by getting the usual disclosures out the way. This is an airsoft toy, this is not a real firearm. There are no real firearms in this video, in any of my videos. This wasn't bought by me, but gifted to me by the one I love. And these are my honest opinions based off my own experience with said beautiful GBBR. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump in. Okay, so let's start by asking ourselves, what is the G36? Well, to understand that, we need to go back in time to the mid-1980s to the end of the 1980s, where Europe was shifting away from the 7.62 NATO caliber cartridge over to the 5.56. France had started to adopt the FAMAS, and the UK with the L85, and other countries were following suit with various AR platforms. So, Germany put out Request. There was two companies that went through towards the final. That was Steyr with the AUG and HK with the G36. As Germany didn't want a bullpup rifle, they adopted the G36. And to be honest with you, that was the right call for Germany. If you're looking for cheap, having to learn a whole new manual of arms, it's extra cost, etc. And of course, staying with HK, getting a good deal with HK, and you get their know-how and you've got their trust. It's just something that they felt was important at the time. So, how did HK do that? Well, in order to get the main requirements of lightweight, cheap, accurate, and durability / reliability, well, HK pulled in and learned from all their, experiences, the UMP, the MP7, the USP pistols, the Mark 23, which, all use polymers, etc., etc. Well, and that's how we got to what we have now. We have the gas system inside from the MP7. So yes, they took the design of the MP7's gas system, short stroke gas piston, and its bulk carrier, and just scaled it up to the 5.56. They took the pin construction disassembly of the G3, along with its modular fire control group of both the G3 and the MP5, and kind of brought it up to date. So, what about airsoft? Well, in airsoft, there have been multiple companies, including VFC themselves, with the V1, which went ahead against the WE 15 years ago. But, kind of sucked. It was kind of like not meant to be at the time, and VFC really did drop the ball. WE continued for quite a long time being the reigning champ. Recently, you've had Army Armament do one. There's been several other weird and unknown companies come out with theirs. But it's taken VFC 11 years officially to come up with a V2. And it's good because this marks the end now of VFC repairing the damage and moving on in their lives, as you would say, with really high quality, high-end products. And yeah, let's see what they did, shall we? Okay, so let's do what we always do and start at the rear. At the rear, you have your skeletonized polymer folding stock. It is nice and ergonomic. You've got a nice smooth polymer there that's all reinforced inside, which is really cool. And as I say, it's a folding stock, so you can push the button here, you can flip it around and secure it there. As you can see, it locks onto the brass deflector and you can still fire it with the stock folded. I highly recommend you don't. And to unfold it, just grab it, lifting up like that, and then just deploy the stock, which is how it's really meant to be fired. Why do I say that? Well, put it this way. This thing kicks like an absolute mule. It is very strong. It's a lot stronger than the MP7 or the UMP. I would say this is the strongest kicking rifle I've owned to date. Now, you do get a very thick rubberized butt pad here at the rear, which does a great job of absorbing that recoil and gripping your shoulder without slipping forward. You do have a sling loop here. Not that you're probably going to use it. It does feature, if I flip this up there, the clip, which allows you to lock on a cheek riser if you wish to convert this. Like I say, this is a modular rifle, so you can convert it to a DMR, to the K variant, or the C here that we have. So that's really cool. Now, you do get your 4 little takedown pin holes here for securing your pins. This does feature HK's takedown system from the G3 days and MP5 and MP7, etc. So just pop the pins and lock them in there. Yes, at the time, HK was not a fan of shooting, I would say, guns with seller captured pins. But they are now, so all's well that ends well. Now, moving forward, let's get to the fire control. Now, the fire control on this is a modular system. You will find many versions of this, such as the German Bundeswehr uses a safe, semi, full. The British Police is safe and semi. And obviously, you've got Special Forces that add the burst feature, etc. And of course, this one has the full range. But if you own one with safe and semi, you can go that way, convert it to a DMR, and run it high FPS if you wish, etc. Great option from HK, a good idea. Now, as this is their updated, as you would say, from 2009 design, which was the last major update the G36 should say got, well, you have this nice extended bolt release in the trigger well. That's why you have a nice large trigger well anyway, and yes, you can use gloves, no problem. But to use this properly, it's quite simple. As the bolt goes to the rear, you push up, lock it to the rear, and you can drop it like that. Doing that allows us now to show you the trigger. The trigger itself has a 1-2 millimeter take up, you're at the wall, 1-2 millimeter to break, and a millimeter of over travel. And then you have a 1, 2, 3, nice audible tactile on the 4th mil, and then another 1 millimeter of extra travel either way. So it really only operates in the middle of the range, but it is a military trigger, and it is certainly very, I would say, skirmishable and used. It is a heavy trigger, I will tell you that now, but once you use it, you do get used to it very quick, and like I say, it's replicating 100% the real steel. Now, moving up from the fire selector system, which is, by the way, very positive and tactile, which is rare on GBBRs these days. Usually they're very soft and gummy. You do get to the top rail. Now, in the last unboxing video, I had a comment saying, oh, it's polymer, it's a no deal. This is one-to-one to the real steel. The real one has a polymer. If you have a metal one, it's an aftermarket. That's entirely up to you. So I know SEMA puts a metal one because they think durability, but this has been fine. It has metal reinforcements throughout and is attached by these bolts here. And there's the same here at the front. At the front, you do have a hooded, non-adjustable front sight. And you do have your rear aperture sight here at the back, which is currently set to 300. So if I can get that in sight for you here, 300. Or you could flip it and it should tell you here on the bottom there, 100 to 200 if that's what you wish. It is adjustable for windage. You can knock the pin inside and adjust that little pin there, just in that hole, and it will allow you to adjust for height and windage inside here with these two little adapters. I fitted my EOTech on there, but that's for me. Now, moving down, you do have your charging handle. The charging handle being right in the middle means it's ambidextrous for both, so you can flip the handle out to that side, or you can pull it through to this side. While it's here, you could, if, say for instance on the real steel, if you get a not completely in battery situation, you can push it up and down, locks it in, and you can use it and then forward assist it like that. So as you can see, locked in, or you can just tap it and it will go back to normal. Now, if I lock this to the rear and pull back, you can see your adjustable hop there. Just slide that forward. It is a very, very rigid, stiff and tactile, I would say, ratcheted slider. It's not like the MP5 that just keeps moving forward and backwards. Even with the extreme recoil of this, I've never lost my hop. It's never changed in over 5,000 rounds. So that's cool. Now, let's move down. And you do have the HK logo there, the G36 with the white C, and you have your caliber markings there along with your serial number right there. As I say, this one comes with the proprietary G36 magazines, basically for this magwell, but I've heard VFC are doing like the real steel, where you can pop that pin out and put in a new one that allows you to run the VFC Stanag mags. That is in the works from what I've heard. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But if I put you down a second, let's talk about the magazines. These are the new V2 mags, the polymer shell has been beefed up to be a better plastic, so it won't crack under, how would you say, extreme cold like the other ones. They weren't as they're not as brittle. They're still going to break if you drop them, but they are a bit more durable than before. You do get the mock dummy rounds, and yes, if you're like me and you are into doing painting or you've done modeling in your life, you'll be able to take the shell off and just quickly jazz them up and make them look a little bit more realistic if that's what you want to do. It's completely up to you. I don't mind them. You can either paint the inside and have it blacked out if you wish. It's up to you. I like them, and it just adds to that look, especially while this is hanging on the wall. At the rear, you have your fill valve and your knocker valve there, and as you can see, this is the V2. So if you push this little, I would say, lever down, which is going to be what lifts up the bolt stop, you can secure it by flicking the switch to the rear or to the forward for dry firing as well. Really, really cool. Now that we've gone through this part of the gun, let's get to the handguard. The handguard on here is secured by a single pin right there. You can take that out, and is fully modular. You can swap this out for anything, I would say, of the G36 style of handguards. There's quite a lot now on the aftermarket. Whether you want to go with the key mod or you want to go with M-Lock, there's quite a lot out there. This gun doesn't come with rails, although it does have the holes for them. It doesn't come with the 3, 6 and 9 o'clock rails. I bought them separate off Amazon. They're 13 quid for full metal rails. 2 minutes of work and that was done. And you can see here at the front, you do have your gas port at the front, along with your 4-pronged flash hider right there, which is designed for the G36. It's kind of cool, as you would say. You do have your slings here. Like I say, all these are nylon fiber but reinforced, along with there, and here at the rear as well. So you can sling this across if you wish. Now, let's flip the gun around and show you the inside. Oh, the other side, I should say. At the front, you can see I mounted a scout light to mine. These are not M-Lock, they're actually vents on the real one to allow heat to escape. And I don't know if I can get that, but you can see the gas piston. We'll show you all the internals as I disassemble it later. But yeah, you can see your markings on this. You have the American, I would say, HK address there, but as you can see, HK GmbH, made in Germany, and the usual warning, refer to owner's manual on this side. As you can see, fully ambidextrous, in fully positive, no matter which. So, now we've done the, I would say, overview of here, let's take it outside and let's go and see what she can do. Okay, I'm using 0.2 gram BBs and green gas. So, what have we got there? So, maximum of 312, low of 294. This does have an MPAS, so I can always crank that if I want, but for CQB, 1.25 gram BBs, that's bang on what you want it to be. Very, very good. Okay, so let's test the accuracy. Let's take it back to about 10 meters or so. Let's see what she can do. So that's 10 rounds. Now that one is me, so this is going to be a group. The recoil on this thing is absolutely amazing. Okay, so now it's the turn of the Texas style. Let's step it back and let's see how many BBs it takes to clear this. well, she's accurate. Okay, so as you can see, it's a really good shooting gun. Now, missing out that flyer there, but we'll include it in a moment. Let's go from here to here. You're looking at a 2.7, something like that, inch grouping. Sideways, 2-inch grouping. Again, if I include that at the very flyer, it's a 3.5 to 3.5 inch grouping with that part. Now, of course, like I say, until you have this in your hand, you're not really going to know how much of the recoil this really is. It kicks. It does feel like it's about to detonate on you, although it's not. It's just really cool. And that's partly due to its bulk carrier, which we'll get to in a moment. Let's do what we always do. Let's start with the fire control group and work our way. Now, as you can see, it's a lovely, not so complicated fire control group here. Now, predominantly all the parts here at the back are polymer, just like the real steel. It is polymer. It's not, how would you say, steel or anything like that. But it's fine. As you can see, it's all, how would you say, decent. All the springs, though, are steel. The pins, etc., that hold everything together are all steel. And it's the same here. The main spring is steel. One of the upgrades was to the design of the hammer. The nice big roller here on the top. It's a really decent hammer. You can hit the disconnector there. And if I put it in 2 reverse, it does have that click. And of course, if you do it that way, it's still going to start from the beginning. So get 2 shots and then re's done. It's nice how it's not got that mechanical memory like the older guns. It's all up to date and modern. Now, one of the big improvements was the disconnector itself. That is now steel. You'll find that the other part here is steel, along with the, how would you say, bolt stop. That is just aluminum, or a very thick piece that pops up. It hasn't worn even after 5,000 rounds. You can see where it will attach. It hasn't worn, neither has the surface on the top here. That in. It's not worn down at all. 5,000 rounds in, it's really, really good. And like I say, this is your firing pin reset. It flicks back. Basically, what needs to be steel is steel. What's not needed to be steel is not steel. So that's entirely up to you if you like that or not. I've done over 5,000 rounds and it's been fine. So I'm going to say that's a win. Well, let's move that down. As you can see, your standard magwell set up, just a polymer thing. Now, let's move up to your recoil spring and guide rod. Steel, steel, and your buffer, steel, and the capture pin, which goes down into here to hold the top, is steel, and the bottom here where it pins through the receiver is pinned in with the steel pins. So yes, this is a steel guide rod, etc. It's really strong recoil, so it's needed for this. And the reason it's that strong is because of the bulk carrier. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, this is their new, if I flip over, V2 bulk carrier. Basically features a few updates over the V1. So, what did they do? Well, let's see. At the rear, you have your metal paint that comes off that buffer hitting there, but you have your hex screw here. Again, it's a steel hex screw that secures your nozzle inside. The nozzle is held by a steel, if I flick that there, you can undo it. There you go. As you can see, it's held in nice steel little guide for the nozzle and for the actual cycling of it as it goes forward and backwards in the receiver. Now, speaking of, the other part is here at the front. They added a massive steel locking plate for the bolt. So your bolt stop from the pistol grip there will go up and it'll lock onto here. And with it being steel, it's not going to damage your bolt or wear it down. So, what other, upgrades did they do? Well, let's have a look, shall we? So, one of the upgrades I saw with this was the nozzle itself. The nozzle itself, I would say, is really decent. It's nice. It's a bit lethargic, people say. But you have to remember, this thing is over 300 grams and is going to be cycling forward and backwards at 980 rounds a minute. And even on semi, it runs really, really quick. And because of that, this is going to go back. It gets to about 40%. They made it lethargic because that return spring is slightly longer than you would have thought normal. And when it gets to a certain point here, it'll start to flick back. Obviously mine is pretty gunged up because I've not cleaned it. But then it goes back and it gets to about here. Okay? And the reason being is you don't want it, as this goes all the way to the rear, hits this buffer here. You don't want it to, how can I say this, slam back and crack the back of your rear nozzle there. It happens. It happened on the original. We don't want it on this. It will then basically go in, give it a little bit of a buffer, and then as it goes forward, that little extra buffer there allows the bolt carrier to go forward without smacking into your upper receiver. I'll show you that in a moment. So you have that. Now that might mean that if you have a slow-mo camera and you're seeing this shoot, this looks a bit lethargic. I've not missed a beat. It's been perfectly fine. So as far as I'm concerned, it's completely a normal bolt carrier group and it works right. What they did was make it so that it was a lot better. I have seen videos where people have cut that spring down to make it retreat like this. And I've never seen an update video or anything like that from it. The people don't seem to, because what they've probably done is broke the nozzle and they can't find a replacement and are very angry at themselves. So as far as I'm concerned, like I say, it's fine, it works. You'll find this system is used as well in the new G&G 556 AR-15. The bolt will go forward and you can use the forward assist and see your bolt carrier bounce forward. It's the exact same principle. It's the nozzle with a little bit of extra and it has that bungee. The GMH9K has the same thing. At the front, you can see it with the nozzle. And pretty much any of the latest guns now are coming with that sort of system with a little bit of extra, I would say, compactness like that in order to absorb a bit of the recoil, you know, going forward so it doesn't crack your upper receiver. You know, this is a hefty bolt and it does move very fast. So at the muzzle, that's your muzzle device. It is a steel muzzle device, just like the real steel. And obviously is, if I pull this upper receiver here, you can see this is a 13mm counterclockwise thread, and your inner barrel goes quite the way to the end. You do have your gas piston here, and it is, how can I say, if I get that there, you can see it where it would tap forward onto the bolt carrier. It's quite good. Now, if I try to get this inside for you with some light, you can see here, this whole system, apart from that feed ramp there, the whole system is flush. So when that bolt carrier goes home, it's going to hit the polymer, and it's usually around that chamber where in the V1 it used to crack. Whereas on this one, being the fact that they've put that buffer system in, it no longer cracks your polymer on here because, like I say, this thing kicks. So definitely an improved system. Like I say, this has all been reinforced. You can remove the barrel. Let's see if I can get it on camera for you. I'm going to have to pop that stock underneath, I think. There we go. But if I can get some light in there. There we go. In there is your barrel nut. There we go. And you can just see it out. You need a G36 tool to undo, but then you can take the entire front barrel out in the hop and change out the inner barrel if you wish, and booking. It's up to you. Now, the only airsoft markings on this are right here, hidden away underneath the handguard, and that is the 6mm BB and license trademark. Okay. Oh, and this is, like I say, polymer here. Unlike the UMP, it's not steel. It doesn't need to be steel. Okay. Why are these secure? Just a FYI for everyone there. So that is that. Now, one thing I said is, like I say, they took the system from the MP7. Well, here's the MP7 bolt. And you can pretty much see they took the exact same style of system and just used it that way. Obviously, the different shape of the MP7 required that longer front tail for weight. This has it more at the rear, but it is the same principle at hand. Your handguard, as you can see, they've replicated your heat shield in there, which is quite nice, and it is a really durable. I've not lost zero or anything like that with this. There's no wobble with the handguard. It does mount very, very securely. And like I say, if you want to swap it for a longer one, extend the barrel, you can do all that and convert this to whichever version of the G36 you want. Now, let's get this all back together and let's go over final thoughts. Okay, so before we go on my final thoughts, if you've gotten this far in the video and you're not subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button. It's really easy and free to you guys, but it really helps this channel out a lot. It allows me to continue to put weapons on the table for you guys to see. Now, with that, while you're there, hit the like button and hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss a video when I upload. And like I say, if you want to go one step further, YouTube have added the YouTube thanks button, and you can use that whenever you wish or whenever you feel like. It allows you to donate directly to the channel and allows us to continue to put even more expensive weapons on the table for you guys to see. So that's completely up to you. If you don't, it's perfectly fine. You're all welcome here. I really appreciate everything you guys do. It's because of you that I'm able to do this anyway. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, let's go over my final thoughts. What do I think to the V2? Well, I think VFC set out to do what they promised to do, and that was to repair the damage of all their V1s that they did around this time. Your MP5 has got a V2, your MP7 has got a V2, your UMP has got a V2, and now, finally, we've got a V2 of the G36. Don't even get me started with the 416, we're now on the Gen 3 with that, but that's a whole different ball game. At the end of the day, they really did set out to fix the problems, and I do think that they've done that. The recoil is phenomenal. It's as close to the real thing as we're going to get, if not more in some respects. I don't know. That's going to be subjective. But they've made a really high quality product, whether it's from the tactile response of the trigger reset, the fire selecting, the mag release and catch, the bolt lock, you name it. Everything just feels like high-end, high quality for what it is. Now, yes, some people are going to say it's a plastic gun, and, well, on one side you're right, but on the other side you're wrong. There's a lot more metal inside this than you think. And second, I like the uniqueness of the G36 over its counterparts. Everyone else is trying to just do the next AR-15 and copy the AR-15. They kind of said, no, let's do something better. And lo and behold, that's where we're at. And of course, in the real steel world, even the real military thinks so. You find more and more weapons coming out with high polymers. The Croatia with the VHS-2 bullpup rifles, Steyr have upgraded theirs. You know, with the AUG, there is so many different weapons. The MP5s have had it with the UMP. You've also have it with the MP7, the most famous of them all, I would say, in the unicorn weapons world. But yeah, polymer's fine and it works. Yes, we can 3D print titanium, but it doesn't mean that it's cost effective for a military to do so. So that's never going to happen. It'll never get that cheap to do so because titanium is an extremely expensive alloy to work with, or metal, women would call it. So yeah, at the end of the day, the G36 is an absolute blast. You'll run around the arenas and your local field being smacked in the shoulder with a big smile on your face as the recoil goes, and you won't care that you get shot. You'd just be happy to pull that trigger, which is what it's all about. So that is my thoughts. I would love to know what you guys would think down in the comments down below. And is there any other weapons that you would like to see on this channel this year? You let me know in those comments as well. I'm always reading the comments for the first couple of days, try to answer everyone I can. And obviously, like I say, if I know, I'll answer you. If I don't, I won't. So until I do know, and then I'll try to answer you, however long it takes. But yeah, like I say, I've been the Middle Aged Gamer. You guys have been absolutely amazing, and I will see you in the next one.